Myanmar has a long history of drug production and trafficking. The government accuses ethnic armies, which control large swathes of remote territory, of using narcotics to fund their insurgencies. While critics have also accused corrupt local officials of profiting from the trade. Now, while the world was dealing with a pandemic earlier this year, Myanmar staged one of the largest anti-drug operations in the region's history. Some 18 tons of drugs were seized, including almost 200 million methamphetamine pills. Now, Shan State is where Myanmar's illicit drug trade is centered. Its vast mountainous and forested terrain means that drug producers can move large quantities of cheaply produced narcotics into neighboring countries without being caught. Now, the area borders Laos and Thailand and is better known as the Golden Triangle. Now, that's almost 1 million square kilometers where opium and heroin production is second only to Afghanistan. While the drugs are sold to consumers in the Mekong region and other parts of the Asia Pacific. Despite efforts by authorities, production in Shan State appears to be thriving, even with Myanmar basically shutting its borders to prevent COVID-19. Well, falling street prices suggest output remains robust. Criminal organizations have been stashing huge secret stockpiles, maintain secure labs, and use a variety of trafficking routes to ensure their illicit business thrives. Right, we are joined now by Amara Thiha from the Myanmar Institute for Peace and Security. So, what has been the impact of this huge anti-drug operation that started back in February?
So the anti-drug policy started for nearly 2 years, but we have a larger seizures in the last 6 months. And that is one of the president's policy for the anti-drug policy in the last 5 years. It was kind of successful that we can somehow seize. But the thing is, we have shifted from the drug using paradigm from the opium-based drugs towards more designer drugs. And so if you're looking on the drug seizures, it's mostly methamphetamines and other designer drugs. And previously, particular groups of peoples tried to control and mobilize and try to monopolize the production of drugs, usage, and distribution. But it's now become more like a supply chain that not only the single group or the single stakeholder involved, but the different stakeholders involved in different level of production. And it is difficult and quite difficult to address. And the seizures is not the issue anymore. So we have a more complex things to address right now.
Yeah, so given that the production and trafficking then still appears to be going strong, even amid COVID-19 border closures, what major challenges do authorities face?
So the major challenges, nowadays, if you produce these small designer drugs, it takes, few square feet, not like opium-based production of heroines or other drugs. So usually the production is not even in the rural area as we know before, not only in the Golden Triangle or not only in the Eastern Shan State or somewhere around, but it can be even in the small urban lab in the big cities. And we have seen some urban labs too in some city in the border area. And these drugs are trafficked through, different stakeholders and through the different channels for the distribution network. And it's not only through the Myanmar border, but sometimes we also notice that they even ship from the terminals. And we have also reported that they also produce in the sea. So it is quite difficult to control. So even if during the COVID-19, when the border closed, the border economy is shutting down, and we have a slow economy. So it is a good time, and it is a good fortune for most of the people who don't have income. So they try to take the risk and doing on this production and trafficking. So, and the whole economy is intertwined, and the whole political economy is intertwined with the drugs and gray economy. It is difficult to control, and as far as the conflict is going on, and as far as these non-state actors require cash in to supply the whole operations.
Now, challenges aside, the government, has implemented, supportive measures such as helping opium farmers, for instance, switch to alternative businesses. But why is there such little success on that front?
So if you answer in the short way, it's all about the market, right? The government tried to support some farmers for having a tea leaf, coffee beans, and also some other wheat, Japanese wheat. But the problem is there is no market, and most of these, substitute plants are not the cash crops. So the farmers still need some kind of cash crop in saving for their repairing the homes and buying the new assets. And there is no other, plant than opium or poppy. So they are still going on. But some farmers are producing other crop, but at the same time they're still cultivating the poppy in the area because this is a cash crop for them.
And Amara, will the drug issue have any bearing at all on the election that's taking place next week?
There are some constituencies, the eastern and northern Shan state, the people's militias or other different kind of militias control some constituencies, and the political economy is there, so they have influence in some constituency. And of course, their political parties have a drug policy. It is not that within the capacity to address and change the whole system, so they have to ignore or at least accept the reality on the ground. So that is the main challenge for some candidates or some political parties to compete in the election. But drug issue is not about the election thing, but it's a whole country's political economy and also the whole situation on the conflict. So this is a major challenge for the upcoming administration. However, the price for opium is not very good in recent years, and due to the low demand and paradigm shift, so the constituency and the area-related drugs were going to be less important in the coming years.
All right, very good. Talking to you. Thanks very much, Amara Thiha there from Myanmar Institute for Peace and Security.